Looks like we're looking at Ross Merriam and Jacob Humphries.
Well, we're sure not watching Tannen Grace because he got destroyed.
Yes, beaten by Callie Anderson, the wife of Mr. Todd Anderson, sitting to my left right now. And looks like players are about ready. We see Jacob Humphries on the left side of your screen playing Dredge. And on the right-hand side of your screen, we're dealing with Ross Merriam playing Izzet Phoenix with a Blood Moon in play, stunting the mana of Jacob Humphries. Jacob says, I don't care. 2 Blood Gas and a couple of prized amalgams sitting. Is that how you pronounce that word?
Amalgam.
Amalgam. Thank you, Todd.
Like an amalgamation of things.
Correct.
It's like a combination of things that might not necessarily go together, but ultimately form a form.
This is why we pay Todd the big bucks, to be my pronunciation coach.
Pay me the medium bucks, sir. I don't want to get people thinking that I make too much money.
That's true. You want to dispel those type of rumors whenever you can.
Yeah, I ain't trying to get mugged.
So it looks like Ross considering options off an Izzet Charm. Is that an alt art Izzet Charm we're looking at?
It is. And he's looting here, discarding some things. Now, Humphries, off of green mana, can no longer utilize that Life from the Loam to build his hand, which means something like Conflagrate is going to be a one and done. But that might be enough here. Humphries here looks like he has, 10 power on the battlefield that can attack this turn. That Arclight Phoenix can play defense for now, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. And it looks like Humphries actually has a Conflagrate in hand. He can cast the first half for 1 red, the second half for 2 red, killing the Phoenix and dealing some damage to Ross along the way, and then attacking for lethal. If I'm not mistaken, he has it.
Humphries
He might have it
disagrees.
anyway.
He
might have it
disagrees.
anyway.
He's going to swing for 7 here, dropping Ross down to 5. Has to consider counter magic from Ross's side.
Does not. That's a Blood Moon, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Disrupting Shoal? I don't think so.
You never know what Ross is up to.
I do, because I talk to him every day.
And there's actually deck list in front of us as well. So we know very clearly what Ross is up to. He will not be disrupting Shoal anyone here. Instead, Jacob just going to play it safe, maybe mistakenly so. Maybe could have gotten a little bit more aggressive there.
I mean, I think he's basically winning by a mile right now. So unless Ross has some absurd turn where he puts 2 more Phoenixes in the graveyard and throws a lightning bolt at Jake, the game is over.
And Ross does not have that kind of turn. Instead, going to pick up the cards, head off to a deciding Game 3. I'm glad we caught this one just in time to actually get an outcome here.
All right, well, we are going to list off the sideboard for you at home instead of putting them up on the screen. Looks like Ross has access here to 2 Ceremonious Rejection, a Dispel, 2 copies of Spell Pierce, 2 Surgical Extraction, which should play a big role after sideboard, 1 copy of Young Pyromancer, 1 Rending Volley, 2 Abrade, 1 Anger of the Gods that should definitely be coming in to take care of those graveyard-based threats permanently, 2 Blood Moon, which we already saw he had access to there, and then 1 copy of Beacon Bolt. I don't know. What are you thinking?
So I think on Ross's side, it's pretty clear that he wants both the Surgical Extractions and the Angers. The Blood Moons we saw Ross favors. I think Young Pyromancer is worth considering as well, doing a good job of stemming any particularly wide boards that Jacob is able to assemble.
Now, hilariously enough, because of its free nature with Fire Exceeding Mana, as well as the obvious synergies with things like Arclight Phoenix and Thing in the Ice, Ross actually has 1 copy, main deck of Surgical Extraction. And I am very curious to know if that played a role in him taking Game 1 of this match.
Certainly not a great matchup on the Izzet side. So thinking about him stealing that Game 1, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Surgical Extraction played a role. Let's go over to Jake Humphries' sideboard. He's looking at 3 Leyline of the Void, 3 Nature's Claim, 2 Ancient Grudge, 3 Lightning Axe, 2 Damping Sphere, 1 Assassin's Trophy, and a Dark Blast. Todd, what do you think Jake is doing in this matchup?
So my gut says that Jake is going to be bringing in Leyline of the Void, maybe some Lightning Axes to take care of Thing in the Ice. Thing in the Ice being a pretty huge card for Ross in this matchup. And then the 1 Assassin Trophy for basically the same reason. The downside of Leyline of the Void is that Crackling Drake completely unaffected by it, where normally it would be very good against that style of card, as well as Thing in the Ice. Ross's basically 2 best cards in the matchup are those, and the fact that neither of them is really affected by Leyline of the Void means that there's a chance that Jake actually just doesn't sideboard for this matchup except for the removal for Thing in the Ice.
Yeah, I would also note, too, Ross has picked up 2 copies of Terramander at this point into his main deck, so that is a card that Leyline of the Void has an impact on. One of the things I love about Terramander, though, is how good its fail state is. Like, a 1-mana 1/1 flyer on turn 1, it's not the best play. This is Modern, let's be serious.
Right.
You usually need more than that. But it's better than a Bedlam Reveler that sits in your hand that you can just never cast, or
Right.
a Tarmogoyf that's 2 mana for an 0/1. It has more of an effect on the game than any of those type of cards, so it does fade Graveyard Hate to some extent, but also a little bit more vulnerable than some of the threats this deck has played in the past.
Yeah, it's a really great point there. I think Terramander is a very powerful card for this very instant and sorcery dense Is That Phoenix deck, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing more of it.
Looks like players have their openers, considering their options.
Well, Ross, I saw a Faithless Looting and a Spire Bluff Canal, so I don't know what the heck he's thinking about. I literally keep every hand that has Faithless Looting, Spire Bluff Canal. Are you serious?
Ross disagrees.
Well, you know what?
And he's looking right at you. He just looked into your soul and said, yeah, Ted, I'm mulliganing.
Yeah, can we tell the spotter to tell Ross that he's a coward?
I think that would qualify as outside assistance.
Believe in the heart of the cards. All right, looks like Humphries here also taking a mulligan, so both players are going to be even-ish on 6.
Who does that benefit in this matchup? Who can afford mulligans more?
I think it actually is fine for both players. Ross, most of his deck actually just kind of cycles. One cantrip finds another. He's looking basically to find a few very specific cards. So mulliganing here is definitely something that you probably should lean toward to find your surgical extractions and other ways to interact. As far as the dredge side is concerned, as long as you have Faithless Looting, a land, and a dredger in your opener, you got to keep it. You know, and if I mean, you might want to look for like a lightning axe or be a little more aggressive in that vein, but you have such a high fail rate if you like mulligan a hand that has those things that, you know, there's a chance that your 6-card hand is just significantly worse. So I fully expect Ross, aggressive mulliganing, the dredge deck, basically just trying to function.
Both players pulling 6 off the top. Seems like both are satisfied. Going to do some scrying. And then we're going to kick this one off. Looks like Jake is sending his card to the bottom. Ross leading on tap Steam Vents, passes over to Jake.
The tap Steam Vents signifies to me that Ross is looking to play a Thing in the Ice on turn 2 before deploying any of those instants and sorceries. Being a little light on resources, if he ends up burning a cantrip here on turn 1, like a Sleight of Hand, Serum Visions, or an Opt, there's a chance he draws into a land, and that's 1 point fewer on that Thing in the Ice of transforming.
Looks like Jake has a turn 1 play. Went and fetched up a Stomping Ground, untap, and has the Faithless Looting. Classic start for the dredge deck.
Now, if I'm Jake, if I had 2 dredgers in hand, a Life from the Loam and another one, I would actually choose to hold the Life from the Loam in hand because of how well it works late as the game progresses with your conflict rates. Luckily for him, though, Ross doesn't have that surgical extraction to steal that dredge from him.
So Jake does dredge back the Life from the Loam, putting 4 cards into the graveyard. And I do believe there's a second land for a follow-up. I also think I saw a Lightning Axe in hand, which possibly Jake just wants to deploy to get that Thing in the Ice off the battlefield before he can get up into any transforming shenanigans.
Yeah, absolutely. The Lightning Axe has a super low floor here, where if that Thing in the Ice transforms, it no longer is an effective card, and his clock is reduced dramatically. I would definitely, if I was on Jacob's side, lean, cast Faithless Looting, do some dredging, see what you hit, and then go for a Lightning Axe on that Thing in the Ice to kind of close out your turn after you maybe deploy a threat or 2 off of the dredge.
Looks like Jacob agrees with step 1. Gonna have another think about it.
I think I would also fetch a Mountain here beforehand, just because you don't want to accidentally mill over your basics, and you also don't want to shock here. Your life total does matter quite a bit in this matchup in some scenarios.
I'm inclined to agree. I think that's one of the trickier parts about playing this deck optimally is proper sequencing of your fetch lands.
Absolutely.
And there you see Basic Mountain off the top.
Yeah, and the deck usually plays 2, so.
And this version does as well.
And this is the payoff. He gets to get that Bloodghast into the graveyard first and discard a Prize Amalgam from hand.
Right.
And now he's going to get to fetch. So his sequencing actually paying off dividends here. If he fetches, gets that Bloodghast back, brings back the Prize Amalgam, and clocks that Thing in the Ice with his Lightning Axe, this game is hugely in favor of Humphries.
And there you see that second mountain. Yeah, I guess where he has 2 mountains in the deck, it just makes more sense to take the risk of milling exactly those 2 mountains and leaving yourself open to these type of plays.
Right.
There you see the Bloodghast returning. I have a feeling we know what the next step is. Tapping that red mana. Going into the well and pulling out the Lightning Axe, discarding the Life from the Loam one more time, eliminating that Thing in the Ice from the battlefield. End of turn. Here comes Prized Amalgam.
It's a very good turn for Dredge on
Yes,
turn
it was. 2. Yes, it was. Ross going to have to find some help now.
Jake actually expecting an Anger of the Gods here, kind of flipping his creatures, thinking that they're going to be exiled here shortly.
Only 1 in the deck, Jake. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. You might be safe. And you see Ross went and got Basic Island.
A second Basic Island here to me signifies that Ross is about to play a Blood Moon, and then he's going to figure out a way to deal with that 5 power afterwards. If he's able to lock out that Life from the Loam engine, that's going to make it a little bit harder for the Dredge deck to really have a late game. The Conflagrates are a huge part of that, and without the Life from the Loam, though, they are definitely stifled.
Very good point. Only 1 mana being tapped for Ross, and it's going to be a Thought Scour.
All right, doesn't have the Blood Moon yet. Going to fetch to not take damage and just keep digging for more stuff to do.
He did just draw the Anger of the Gods off the top, I believe. Going to go ahead and Serum Visions, draw a card, scry those top 2.
Yeah, Serum Visions was the Anger of the Gods was a significant draw here, and not casting it this turn could signify to Humphries that he doesn't have it yet, and Humphries could just go gangbusters, try to put as much power onto the battlefield as possible, and then it's all going to get swept under the rug, and Ross is going to be left at around a healthy 14 life.
Now Ross has found a Blood Moon as well as an Arclight Phoenix.
Oh, no. If Ross
2
discards,
Arclight Phoenixes.
well, now he has the option. He can go either way. He can go beat down here, swinging in for
Right.
6, and then just Blood Moon next turn. It's going to be really tough for Jake to race. Wow. Oh, no.
Nice dredge, though. Nice little dredge.
This is getting interesting.
Yeah, really tight game right now. Both players still with options.
Ross still at 19 life, though. Those hasty Arclight Phoenixes, the haste mattering a ton in this spot.
Oh, yeah. Here we see a Life from the Loam.
Yeah, and that's going to allow him to get back a Bloodghast and have some fuel for a potential Conflagrate should he find one next turn.
Does Ross have the second red source yet?
Oh, maybe not. He fetched an island to kind of protect his life total because he knew he was going to be casting multiple blue spells that turn.
I mean, to be clear, I don't think it's 100% he wants to necessarily Anger of the Gods on the next turn anyway. But you certainly want to have the option should the game come to that.
Right. I mean, my guess is that he's just going to cast Blood Moon and lock out the Conflagrate and then just use the Arclight Phoenixes to race. And I think he is winning this race right now.
I think you're right. Let's see what the follow-up is here from Jacob. See a Bloodstained Mire and a pass.
Super smart play. The Bloodghast is a May ability, and with that fetch land, Jake actually gives himself the option to return the Bloodghast during Ross's instep.
Great
but
point.
The fetch land also playing a role that 1 life point as the difference between 3 Phoenixes having to connect and 4.
Right, or just Lightning Bolt.
Right.
I mean,
Or a gut shot.
Yeah, 9 is a little scary for
Right.
sure.
Ross is pretty well set up here to defend from multiple angles. I'm very curious how he navigates the rest of this game. His teammates kind of just giving him some breathing room here, letting him make the decisions for himself. But it looks like Ross is going to confer with Jim here and try to figure out the best line. And this, honestly, is one of my favorite things about team tournaments, is being able to ask your buddy, hey, what do I do here? This is really hard. And a lot of times, 2 heads are better than 1.
I think there's a thin line, though. I think you have to give Ross room to play his game. He's excellent with this deck. I mean, I think it's fair to attribute him as the creator of this archetype and knows the deck inside and out. At some point, you just have to say, Ross, we trust you. You can make your own decisions. If you have someone breathing down your neck the entire time, it can be difficult to get to the right decision. And I think you have to play a delicate balance of being there when your teammate needs you, but not being too assertive and in their face and giving them room to still explore their options.
Yeah, here Jake has a land in hand. Doesn't need to crack this fetch land. Is really weighing on him how he wants to play this. And I think the best course of action, let's see. Let me figure this out. That's 7, 5, 12. He's a little short. If he just draws for turn, if he hits a Conflagrate off of a dredge, I believe that he is either 1, maybe 2 points short of lethal if he fetches during the end step here. So I think best course of action, don't fetch, make Ross have a burn spell, or hit you one additional time with a Phoenix.
Jake disagrees.
Jake disagreeing. Gonna go for it right now.
Yeah, given what I know about Jake's hand, and it's possible there's something I'm missing, I think I like not fetching there. I think this is a very difficult game for Jake to win. But he may be privy to information that we don't have. Or maybe he just sees another line that does give him the way. It'll be interesting to see how this next turn unfolds. Here we see Jake on tap. Going to go ahead and dredge loam.
A Narcomoeba here would be huge for Jake. He misses. But he does have a Faithless Looting in the graveyard.
Right.
He can use that to dredge a little more with the Life and Loam that's already there. Maybe hit something like Creeping Chill.
Yeah, looks like Jake agrees. See Conflagrate.
Oh, he found it, but it's too late.
Yeah.
He doesn't have enough mana.
And just draws a
He's
Dark
at
Blast,
6.
discards.
That's it, he's
Yeah,
dead.
I think that's a wrap. Jake did not find what he needed on those dredges.
That Blood Moon playing a crucial role there.
Indeed.
Jake actually could have won that game. He hit the Conflagrate,